97.3. Accra.
95, 96. 97.3 Citi FM. It doesn't get any better than that.
Detailed news, unparalleled coverage. Citi News at 97.3 FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Citi News.
It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umar Rusanda Amadou, and tonight I'm here with
Eno Safo.
And coming up over the next 90 minutes.
The Ghana Bar Association called for the immediate revocation of the suspension of the Chief Justice as it considers the suspension to be unconstitutional.
Ghana Bar Association demands the reversal of the suspension of the Chief Justice. We'll be hearing what the decisions are or the reasoning behind that particular demand are. Also, coming up, NPP's thank you tour deepens the cracks that the party tried to seal. Is it worth it?
Unity. I mean, unity no. Mwana mukreti.
Party nti enipa bi tumi kasa te so mo member. Eba contributions ye yisika wo mutumi ibe mu kosesere.
We have that here on Eyewitness News, and later the Mahama government launches a medical trust fund known as Mahama Cares. It is to take care of persons with kidney failure, cancer, and heart condition, amongst other chronic diseases. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business,
Ghana's crude oil production declines for 5th consecutive year.
That's in 50 minutes from the Citi Business Desk. Eyewitness News is live across Ghana on a host of our affiliate stations. In the Upper West region, we are on Tumpani Radio 88.5 in Nadoli. We are on Jirapa 96.1 FM in Jirapa. In Upper East, we are on Rikas 92.1 FM in Bongo, Namo. In the Northern region, we are on North Star Radio 92.1 in Tamale. In the Northeast region, we are on Nobia FM 98.1 in Nalerugu. In Western region, we are on Beach 105.5 FM and Sky 93.5 FM, both in Takrady. In the Ashanti region, we are on Focus 94.3 FM on the campus of KNUST in Kumasi. On Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi. In the Volta region, we are on Sela Radio 97.1 FM in Dabala. We are also in Aflau on Holy 98.5 FM. In Savannah region, we are on Kasha 99.5 FM in Damongo. We're also live on Facebook and live on YouTube. Just look for Citi FM. You will see our live feed there. We are also interactive. Join us via messages on WhatsApp 0549 986 996 0549 986 996. If you want to go on Twitter, now known as X, my handle is at Umar Rusanda. You can also mention at Citi973. Use the hashtag Eyewitness News when you send your messages. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM, broadcasting from Accra, and I am Umar Rusanda. I'm here with Eno Safo. We start off with the Ghana Bar Association, and it's because the head of the Judicial Service, the Chief Justice, the leader of the third arm of government, has been suspended by the leader of the first arm, that's the President John Dramani Mahama. And the presidency said it did this in accordance with the Constitution. The Ghana Bar Association had earlier issued a statement which sounded very, very almost supportive of what the government was doing, or at least not condemning what the government was doing. But now it is making a demand. Hansen Ajiman is our legal correspondent. Is in studio. Hansen, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you, Sanda.
So is it a youth in the Ghana Bar Association, or it is developing its point further?
Well, from what we understand, this is a more decisive resolution, including the membership and the highest body of the GBA. And so not necessarily a U-turn, but it is a matter of now taking position. The first statement, as was released by leadership, was calling on all factions within this matter to operate with rule of law. But we are told that at the time the Ghana Bar Association was having its mid-year conference, it had been aware, or its members had been aware of the content of the petitions as well as the responses from the Chief Justice, the suspended Chief Justice, to the President. But more so, they had now looked carefully at the actions that had been taken by the President and thought that there were some breaches of the Constitution, and it is on that leg that now they've come to a more decisive step where they are asking for the revocation of the suspension of the Chief Justice, that is Gertrude Torkornoo.
So they are saying there's a constitutional breach?
Certainly. So they are saying that, so if you look at Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution, it gives for the removal of the Chief Justice and the Superior Court judge. And asked by the Ejechum case, what has come to know is that whether it's a Superior Court judge, that's whether it's a judge from the level of the High Court to the Supreme Court, or the Chief Justice herself in this case, first, what ought to be done is a prima facie case has to be determined. That is to say that at least there are certain questions to be answered. When that is determined, then a committee is formed. In the case of the Chief Justice, that committee is formed by the President. And the 14610 now gives a discretionary power to the President to say that while we are investigating these issues, I want you to step aside, stop acting as Chief Justice before these issues are completed. So after investigations, when it is determined that you have not faulted, you can come back and then take over your role. If it is determined otherwise, then the President will then make actions depending on what the Constitution guarantees him to do. But GBA is saying that that power for the President to suspend the Chief Justice is not absolute in itself, because being a discretionary power, it is one that is subject to the dictates of Article 296 of the 1992 Constitution. Now, Article 296 of the 1992 Constitution says that anybody who is exercising discretionary power first will have to do so fairly and in a candid manner. But also, if that person exercising the discretionary power is not exercising a judicial power, and in this case it is their view that the President, by suspending the Chief Justice, is not exercising a judicial power, then there's a need for that person or that authority to publish constitutional instrument, statutory instrument, or regulations governing the exercise of that discretion. And so the argument is that President Mahama not publicizing any constitutional instrument or statutory instrument as to how and why he is suspending the Chief Justice, then his action is in breach of Article 296 of the 1992 Constitution, and in that respect, they're asking him to revoke the suspension. Now, mind you, the dictates of Article 146 Clause 11 is such that the President, even after suspending the Chief Justice, can at any point in time revoke the same suspension. I see. Okay, so they have said that there's a breach of the law, so the suspension itself has to be suspended. Meanwhile, the Chief Justice remains suspended. There's an acting Chief Justice who's already started issuing assignments, isn't it? Yes.
Appointed Judicial Secretary, I think?
Yes.
Okay. Now, has the GBA said it would go to court to ensure this is enforced, or it is just advising for now?
Well, particularly with respect to the issue of the suspension, they didn't make any point specifically relating to that. But it had about they had about 4 resolutions when it comes to the suspension of the Chief Justice. The first one was the revocation of that suspension. The second one is an enactment of regulations for the removal of any person who should be removed under Article 146.
So a new law?
A new a new law.
Okay. So that it will be guided by that?
It will be guided. Okay. In the reasoning of the court in the Frank J. Chum case, it was highly recommended that regulations should be made to govern how these activities will be done, a step-by-step process. But that has not been done, and GBS is saying that it is going to lead the process to make sure that that is done. It is also asking for the President to release the full decision that established the prima facie case. So GBA is saying that now that you have established prima facie, the basis for which a committee has been formed and for which the Chief Justice has been suspended, let us know what exactly you based on to establish this prima facie case. And then they then went out to say that they are denouncing any prejudicial comments. And here the association says it affirms its commitment to safeguarding the sanctity of the judicial process and resolves to take all appropriate legal measures to protect the judiciary from undue interference or unjustifiable attacks. So even though they did not clearly say that they are going to challenge the suspension of the Chief Justice, in these same resolutions, they have noted that when need be, they will take the necessary legal actions in an attempt to safeguard and protect the judiciary.
There's a possibility they may go to court. Finally, so this is signed by the same person who signed the previous statement, because I know the GBA president signed the first one.
Yes, so this is signed by Madam Ifua Gate, national president, as well as, and co-signed by the national secretary, Kwakuja Obafor.
So this is a resolution after a meeting?
This is a resolution after the mid-year conference of the Ghana Bar Association.
The earlier one was a press statement.
So the earlier one was a statement by the leadership on matters that are happening. But it's also important to state that the GBA are saying that the acting Chief Justice, he asked the acting Judicial Secretary to direct that all new cases be brought to his attention for assignment of judges and also assignment of court. The GBA is saying that in the world we live in and the technological advancement that we are in, it may not be necessary for the acting Chief Justice to issue such directives. And so they are also asking the acting Chief Justice, Justice Bafuboni, to withdraw said directive and make sure that technology is used in assigning cases to the various courts and as well as judges.
Thank you so much. Hansen Ajiman is our legal affairs correspondent here at 97.3 Citi FM and Channel 1 Television. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Stronger brand you can trust. Polytank, we get some more Rambo and get some more super. And the Polytank, we did Polytank. Papa no no, 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 Alcazar. Polytank, the original, always the best.
Oh, jump on now. Go. Gugomi, at what time when you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I don't change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Because now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mindset be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open them.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside?
I give you info. Make a fill the gobe too small.
Go.
Yo, Pana. Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Are you feeling tired after a hard day's work? Have you lost your appetite even for your favorite dish? Viral Blood Tonic is a nutritionally balanced, pleasant-tasting tonic fortified with iron and vitamins to boost your appetite and energy levels for high performance. Viral Blood Tonic, easy to take and good for the family. Viral from Danex Iting Starwin PLC. If symptoms persist after 48 hours, consult a physician. This advert is FDA approved.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You welcome back. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Now, the 2024 flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has over the past few days been on a thank you tour. On one of such tours in the Brekum area in the Bono region, there was a brief disagreement between former Asin Central MP, someone who ran for the flag bearership, Kennedy Ohine Ejepong, and the NPP Bono Regional Chairman Kwame Bafo, popularly known as Abronye DC. Now, in his welcome remarks, the regional chairman, Abronye DC, took a hardline stance on party loyalty and discipline, subtly criticizing members he accused of contributing to the NPP's electoral struggles through divisive public commentary. In what appears to be an apparent attack on Kennedy Ejepong, who also responded in an apparent response directly to Abronye DC, he defended his position and said that inclusiveness, not exclusion, would strengthen the party ahead of future elections. I want you to listen to the back and forth. It was in Chi. Let's listen briefly and talk to a senior member of the party on what is happening.
Arrogance. And the dear Durubabia Yaduri. Raging ha. Mu sami 2 single constituency. Ako kachiro bise. Yantu Abama candidate. Bimuye. Mu amene mutina damu kuradi. Mu sami flow bise to Abama a particular candidate. But the binum demi di call ye campaign we no. Omu we ye no ma konkran. Abronya no na ajiba omi campaign ayere. Ba no kura ne se omu ba mo ho campaign omu se Abronya na soma mo. Omu se Abronya na soma se ye meye campaign ko meboa. Yese mu di ho adanse ye se ma miema no amfro obi a sa nkrofo no so omu ye sa di medin ba ayero. Etena ombe ba mo ho. But this time no omaye ma mebuafu. Na mom mo obi nkodi obi atem. Ukodi do obi atem wie. Na so wie a wo se yankoye a unity. I mean sa unity no eyi mu ana mu kreti. Professor Makwe report o se ye kwa abato a ensema ye ka no eno na no andisi fo ye den eyusutie na mom wo ya propaganda no obi be yi ano dia entena social media say who didn't panatem now we are wabakasa memfa wadamfo.
Media, I'm telling you the truth. Obia nye beman chobia. But party nti eni pebi to make kasati so omo member. Omo nye member. Eba contributions ye yisika omo to me be mu kosesere. And they talk as if the whole world is for them. It's not for them. And yet ekruya. Like some of them cannot even speak the way they speak. Because bam fi ekura wo fadi ebi mo ya podcast ma wo mo on ba ro mba too long. You see ya penokura mom yanka. I will not respect you, but may respond to anybody unless I can go show down. Anybody akuma wosoro ekasa ya pe memo party mu yanko mo ya ma. Minisa was that means Lessica. More here for promise to be Kasako Kugroso, Yesika for. Please, who born dog? Number to me, I talk anyhow. Who born dog? Number to me, I talk anyhow.
Vintage Kennedy Ejepong there, former Asin Central Member of Parliament. Let me translate for you what he said or summarize for you. He said, no one is bigger than the other, but because of the party, others speak like they are carrying the world on their shoulders. They cannot even contribute to the party. If not for unity, others would not be counted among us. We even sponsor some party members. Some are peeved and cannot be counted among the big fishes in the party. And he talks about having more money as well there. Before him, there was Abronye DC who said, to summarize, arrogance has brought us to where we are today. Did you see me campaign for any candidate? But after some campaigned with my name, others claimed in Accra that I had spearheaded Dr. Bawumia's campaign. It's good that you are admitting I was not involved in the campaign. This time, I have been peeved. Let's not engage in verbal assaults and later call for unity. Professor Michael Kwe's report reveals that our own campaign utterances were used against us by the NDC. Let's go on the phone lines. Joe Osewusu is former member of parliament for Bekwai. He was deputy speaker, first deputy speaker in the last and previous parliament. Honorable, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you very much.
I mean, after suffering that humiliating defeat, I'm not sure this is the next thing you want to be hearing from your party members, is it?
Well, first thing is that, yes, we suffered a defeat, but the adjective you are adding is your own, humiliating. We've done worse than that before, so we don't feel humiliated. We think that if we reorganize ourselves well, we can do better. But of course, the process of reorganization should not become a march of shouting and exhibiting anger. So, yes, you're right. This is not the last, the thing we want to be seeing in public.
And this
in the political arena, having disagreement is so normal. Sometimes we exaggerate what it is that we disagree upon, and other people sitting outside add to them. But in actual fact, the whole essence of competition is comparing different ideas, nothing more.
Now, the issue that has come up now is, do you need a thank you tour? Because it appears a thank you tour, which was intended to help unite the party forge ahead, is rather leading to cracks. Should it be aborted, or it could be continued in a better way? What's your view?
First thing is that when we use the word crack, does it competition means there's a crack? No, it doesn't. I've made this argument on so many occasions that political party and competition for choice necessarily leads to different people taking different sides. So how we interpret that is often the challenge. But a thank you tour has become a political culture. Every political party, every MP after the election expected to go around and thank the people who voted for him. So sometimes he didn't even win. But the thing that some people have done so well, some communities have done so well, they have stood behind you that you must go back and say thank you to them. So I've been active in the party since 1992, and all that period, thank you tours have happened all throughout the 8 or so elections that we have had. So there's absolutely nothing untoward in organizing a thank you tour. In this case, I think the party at the National Council decided that we should organize a thank you tour and give the opportunity for all those who participated in the presidential primaries. Each one of them was written to join in the thank you tour. So, yes, it is necessary, and it is also intended to engender our people and help them to strengthen their faith in the party. Things have been too quiet now, and I think it's appropriate that we take the opportunity to mobilize ourselves and reassure ourselves. The last meeting I had, one of the Umar contestants said something, and I've come to love it. It says, get up, it's not over. This is the time to tell our members, get up, it's not over.
I remember you did a rise, and when Akufo-Addo, I think at the time he lost in 2012, there was something around Rise tour. I remember the NDC saying it was a rice and beans tour. Now that one you lost, and you went to there was some listening tour also. I'm not sure whether it was NDC or MPP that did the listening tour. But my point about thank you tour, thank you should be for voting me. You're thanking them for not voting you. What's the purpose of a thank you tour?
41% of the Ghanaian voted the party. Those people need as much recognition as even those who did not vote for us. But the report shows that a little over 2 million people around our strongholds did not go out to vote. They also told us a story. They also made us look at what did we do wrong. And having found out from their own words the things they have said, things we overlooked, things we ought to have known, things we ought not to have done, but we did. It is appropriate that we go around to thank them for reminding us of our true values, reminding us, telling us what we ought to do and how we should appreciate their vote for us. Thank you to all. It's not only for those who won, even those who did not win are eligible to go around and thank people who voted for them.
But should you not be at this period doing an inflection and possibly checking what went wrong? Of course, the Professor Okwe committee did that work, but should you not rather sit and munch on that report and see how to deal with the issues that would come up? A thank you tour, which is disguised as a rejuvenating of the base, may not particularly be the way, especially when you have people with rival interests or conflicting interests on the tour who are now sending us the sound bites that we are seeing.
You see, I've listened to the sound bites. I've learned over the years not to trust sound bites from social media, because social media, has become a veritable source of mis- and disinformation. Right? People pick voices from elsewhere and pin them together and present them as if it happened yesterday. So I'm very careful about using that as a basis for coming to any conclusion. But you see, Okwe report is one of the various reports. The Okwe report was what was formally commissioned by the party, the National Council. So they went around, they spoke to party people generally. But I can tell you that members of the 8th Parliament, we also sponsored a research report. The job was given to KNUST, and they brought out a report. A lot of the findings are similar to the findings of the Michael Okwe report. So what it tells us is what the participants who are speaking at the thank you tour are sharing. That we heard you. You have said this. You have said that. You have said that. We are sorry for what we did wrong. We apologize for not listening to you. We apologize for not doing what we expected of you. We apologize for this and that. That is what is going on now. People acknowledging what they have said, admitting that what they have said is right, and apologizing for what we're doing. But thanking them, even those who stood by us, and those who even did stayed away and had the courage to tell the truth, tell to us why they did not come out to vote for us. I think it is totally appropriate. And out of that, the party has taken the next step. Some of the things that came out are the processes of selecting our leadership. And so the proposal discussion, a committee has been put in place to receive memos about a review of our constitution now. This is all part of the process of reorganizing ourselves to relaunch.
There's a view that people are pained, they need an outlet to vent, and that at this period you should allow everybody to vent. Let people, clear off whatever is on their chest, so that when all is done, then you can rebuild. Do you think that's a good approach to go?
I don't know what we are bending party matters to who. That is why the committee went around the whole country, listened. That the Ashanti region did its own. It also sent people around and they listened. A lot of the things that were said by people who are pained, people who were disappointed in us, people who are in many ways have things to share, are similar. What the Okwe report and what the Ashanti Regional report and what we 8 Parliament MPs hired professors at KNUST to do, practically the same thing. What is coming out most of the time tend to be exaggeration of the situation. From the investigations they've done, a lot of the time the headlines that are coming, and they're all coming from social media. The headlines that are coming do not reflect what actually happened or what was said. So we will not be discouraged. We will go around because the people you're speaking to heard you directly. They'll pick and compare with what has been published in social media. And they see clearly that social media is being used to misrepresent the statement that has been made and the essence of the thank you talk. For me, that was the most critical part, is to help us rejuvenate ourselves. And for people, this is also an opportunity for people to hear from us one-on-one. We have heard what you've said. You're right. We apologize. And there can be nothing more fulfilling than that.
How about blaming somebody? Should anybody blame anybody? Should the blame be put at the right quarters? Should a spade be called a spade and not a big spoon for digging sand in these particular conversations in this era?
At this time, all the reporters, they have heard all the complaints people have. Whomever they want to blame, they have said so. They have spoken.
Should we not know who they are blaming? Should we not know what the party base thinks? That whether they believe the leadership in Parliament that was a problem, or the leadership at Jubilee House that was a problem, or whether it was a flag bearer or the leadership at Asylum Down? Do you not think that these things should be known so that you can, at least if you know what the problem is, then you find a solution? You know there's a proverb in tree for that.
It should be known by who? The National Council of the party have been fully briefed. A lot of that. The report has been fully disseminated to members of the National Council. The National Council represents the entire leadership of the party. Okay? But it is not a matter to be discussed in public by non-members of the party, by people who do not wish the party well. No. I don't think that's the appropriate thing to do.
Now, a lot of rumors are being speculated about what or may not be in the report. Publicizing it would solve that or cure that mischief, don't you think?
Well, it is true. A lot of misinformation, whether you get disinformation and circulating around. But what is critical is that for the report, it is not intended to inform the public. It's intended to guide us in preparing our steps and steps forward. So let the rumors go around, let the misinformation fly. We will respond to the misinformation with the appropriate facts when necessary. But for now, we need that information to guide us, to reorganize ourselves, and to relaunch our party.
Very well. Before you go, your party is now on the search for a new flag bearer. Would we see an interest from Bekwai?
An interest as in somebody contesting from Bekwai?
Yes, Joe Wise saying that, well, I want to run for president.
No, I have no desire to do any more public service. I've done enough. For the past 20-something years of my life, I've done public service. I think it's enough. Now, all I want to do is to use my experience and my little links to help the party be on their feet, so that members who are assigned to select the leadership will be able to do that peacefully. And then we'll have a reorganized and united party. I mean, when we talk about unity, it doesn't mean uniting the party. It doesn't mean there will be no disagreement. No, it doesn't. There will be misinterpretation of this, even people's statements. But in the end, we argue strongly against different positions. When a position is taken, you all support that position. That is what democracy is about.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, sir.
My pleasure, sir.
That's Honorable Joseph Osu, popularly known as Joe Wise, former Deputy Speaker of Parliament and former Member of Parliament for Bekwai. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are coming to you from our studio in Accra. I am Omaru Sandamadu here with Enu Safo. One of the major stories we are looking at tonight has to do with the suspension of the Chief Justice, which suspension the Ghana Bar Association is challenging and demanding be reversed. Sylvia Kuje is a PRO of the Ghana Bar Association. Sir, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you.
Why did you have to issue two statements? One that came maybe not very specific on what you want, and then a major one now asking for specific demands. Why? Was it the case that you were not fully briefed as an association and you You wrote something, now you have seen the bigger picture or clearer picture, and you decided to write some other thing.
That is not the case. The bar has a hierarchy when it comes to decision taking. The statement that we put out earlier was by the Bar Council and the National Executive Committee. The conference of the bar, or the conference of the bar, including the media conference, is the highest decision-making body of the bar. So when we had our media conference on Saturday, members passed a resolution asking for all what you've seen in the resolution that we've just put out, including the one on the subject matter. So it's not as if we're not properly briefed or we didn't know what to do.
But considering that you risk being misinterpreted or you risk being accused of kowtowing to a higher power or an external political power, do you not think that you should have come with a single statement emphatic on what you want? Because it sounds as if, for the national executives of GBA, they are happy with the process happening. But then the other group that has just issued, the new statement that has been issued, was inspired by elements who have been demanding. For instance, they mentioned former Deputy Attorney General Diana Asuna Dapai and all of those things as being the ones who influenced this latest decision. Do you not think that your double statement is causing problems for the belief in whether or not you did this without any political influence in the first instance, and now you have political influence?
I do not think so. Let me put this right. The former Deputy Attorney General was at that meeting, and she's a lawyer. And the fact that she's a lawyer doesn't stop her from being a member of the bar. And let it not be said that we were pushed by anybody. That was the annual the media conference of the bar. It had been advertised for about 2 weeks. Members who were interested registered and came there. And at that meeting, just like any other meeting, various and different views were expressed. But just as it is in any other meeting, at the end of the meeting, the meeting will take a decision. And whatever decision that they take, it doesn't matter whether they were opposing views or not. So to set it clear, yes, that is the highest making decision body of the bar. So whatever they say will override whatever statement that we issued as the Bar Council and the Bar, how do you call it?
Bar executives.
Bar executives.
But the question that would be
put together with the council are just a little over 40. So the executives are about 8, and about 36 of council members, making about 44 or so, as compared to or as opposed to the generality of the bar.
The question would be, didn't this council and executives then see what the larger body saw? Because if your earlier statement did not make the call you are making, why is your larger group making that call now? You are leaders for crying out loud. You are supposed to be the ones to give direction, and you are supposed to know the law and the constitution, and you didn't complain about it in the first place, and now you are complaining, or at least the general membership is drawing your attention to the fact that you need to complain about this and you need to make specific demands. So there are two things involved here. Either you are not properly leading your group, or there's something wrong somewhere.
I don't think it is fair to say that we are not properly leading.
Actually, I'm not saying. I'm just putting these options up across for you to respond to. It's not my
those
position.
Options shouldn't have been put across in the first place. I explained to you that we have a hierarchy when it comes to decision making. The fact that even our statement we issued first, I don't think that we took any stand. So if at the general meeting of the generality of membership, they decided that, look, this is what they think should happen, I don't see why anybody should fault us.
Okay.
And don't forget, we never passed any resolution to say that they were unhappy with the first statement that we issued, so we should retract it. It wasn't like that. This was just a representation of the generality of the bar taking decision. And don't forget, if you put two lawyers together, you have different views. Okay. So the fact that 8 or 44 of us discussed the first statement before it came out, or 8 of us did it before it came out, and now you have a larger number discussing that, I don't think that we'll arrive at the same position. That's very unnatural. Very, very unnatural.
Let's get to the meat of the issues now. So you are saying that the suspension is unconstitutional. The president and the presidency said they acted through the dictates of the Constitution. Where have you seen, or which ones are the constitutional errors that you have identified? For which reason you are saying that the suspension be reversed?
I think our statement is clear, but subject to exercising discretion under Article 296, there ought to have been made regulations in the nature of constitutional instrument or statutory instrument before exercising such discretion, because the essence is to govern how it is exercised so that it doesn't get abused. That is all we are saying, that in the absence of such regulations, the membership at that meeting on Saturday before the resolution were of the view that the president had not done well because he had acted unconstitutionally, because no constitutional instrument or statutory instrument had been passed before he exercised the discretion. That is all we are saying. And people have made references to Joseph France and Attorney General and the Electoral Commission. We know that case. The very fact that the Supreme Court said not in all cases that you have to issue such regulation doesn't mean that in the president exercising a discretionary power in this system, he doesn't have to, or he didn't have to have a regulation published before doing that. And don't forget, the Supreme Court is not bound by its past decisions. So it can be that one day the Supreme Court can say that when it comes to exercising powers such as suspending the Chief Justice, there must be published a regulation. So to say that because the Joseph France decision was made in that manner, even though that is what we have for now, then it doesn't matter. So nobody should raise issues about the president exercising discretionary power and Article 296 relative to suspending the Chief Justice.
Is this curable, or the suspension has to be lifted before it will be cured, if it ought to be cured at all?
I don't understand the question.
What I mean is that, so the regulation ought to have been published before the suspension. Can that regulation be published now to cater for that, if that's what the government now would believe to be the case, or the suspension has to be lifted first, then the government issues the regulation or publishes the regulation, then announces the suspension?
Of course, it cannot be that it should be published whilst the suspension is on, because that would have been after the fact. What we are saying is that ought to have been done. So once it had not been done before the discretion had been exercised, then exercising that discretion in itself was unconstitutional. That is our position.
Okay, everybody in the land can go to the Supreme Court and ensure that there's no breach of the Constitution. In this instance, you believe that there's a breach, and GBA has gone to the Supreme Court 1,001 times to ensure the Constitution is protected. Would you be going to the Supreme Court on this particular matter as well?
We won't rule out that possibility, because it is when we went to the Supreme Court on the appointment of Supreme Court justices that it became clear that the Judicial Council's recommendations to the President were not binding on the President. And it was also stated clear through that action that the President too could not prepare his own list, ignoring the recommendations of the Judicial Council. So we won't rule out that possibility.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, sir.
Thank you, sir. That's
Xavier Kuje. He's a PRO of the Ghana Bar Association. Let's speak to Eduji Kujo Tamaklo. He's a lawyer and director of the NDC's legal team. He's also the CEO of the National Petroleum Authority. Mr. Tamaklo, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. The Ghana Bar Association, of which you are a member, had a meeting over the weekend, at which meeting a resolution was issued. Were you in attendance?
Omaro, on Saturday, I didn't, but I sent reps to go and represent me at the meeting.
So your reps voted for this decision?
No rep. In fact, you see, maybe just to explain a few things to you. You know, the annual Bar Association meeting, at that point, almost every lawyer will be there. But the mini bar conference also allows for at the meeting, and there's nobody who will refute it. The former Deputy Attorney General, Diana Asunaba Dapa, basically echoed a view that the MPP, particularly the MPP minority in Parliament, have expressed, and that I have listened to Marlene Senior Bafo, the MP for Menchia South, echo that view, that there is the need for a constitutional instrument to be published. Because if you read Article 296C, it says that where a person is exercising a discretion and that person is not a judicial officer, that is a judge, there's a need for the publication of the constitutional instrument to guide the exercise of that discretion. Thankfully, the Supreme Court in 2012 had the opportunity to provide the full scope and limits of Article 296C. In the case of Ranford France, the Attorney General, and the Electoral Commission, where the Electoral Commission, in exercising its powers, which again comes with the word may, create constituencies. The Honorable Jogati, distinguished lecturer of law, went to the Supreme Court with his client called Ranford France to challenge the Electoral Commission decision to create 45 new constituencies, saying that the may appearing in Article 47 requires that, read together with Article 296C, requires that there should have been a constitutional instrument to guide the exercise of discretion other than that by a judicial officer. The Supreme Court, speaking through his Lordship Justice Databa, had this to say that it is not every exercise of discretionary power or action that requires prior published regulations or constitutional instruments. And said, in the general administration of the state, every day, it could be a president, it could be anybody, is taking one discretion or the other. And so therefore, if you read the provisions of Article 296C in the manner in which the plaintiff in Ranford France is urging on the court, there will be what he described a nuclear meltdown. And that is why the action in the Ranford France matter failed. Again, His Lordship Justice Databa proceeded to say that the scope of Article 296C relates to quasi-judicial situations and not administrative acts. Question: has the president adjudicated on anything? No. Is the president engaged in any form of adjudication? No. The Constitution is clear. The body mandated to adjudicate, the body mandated to take evidence, the body that will have the benefit of scrutinizing, drawing inferences from evidence taken, is the 5-member committee set up by the president. What the president is required to do by reason of Article 146 is to establish or determine a prima facie case without more. So you notice that the president has not made any comment or made any findings of guilt or otherwise against anybody. That's anti-democracy. At this point, there is minimal. All the presidents together with the Council of State have said that on the face of the petition, it is not frivolous. In the sense that a petition is brought to the president. The ladyship, the Chief Justice, requested of the president that give me 7 days to respond. The president, magnanimous as he is, said, I will give you 10 days to put up. Now, if you do a response and you possibly do a supplement, that in and of itself suggests that on the face of the petition, it is not frivolous. And for that matter, you now have the opportunity to appear before a committee, which committee has 2 justices of the Supreme Court and 3 civilians. I use civilians advertently. They will not have the benefit of calling the petitioner. Either he will come with his lawyer, call witnesses. The person against whom the petitioner has been brought will be given the benefit of bringing witnesses, his or her lawyers, to determine this. Umaru, with respect, if you recall, when the matter involving Charlotte Osei came, and Charlotte Osei, acting through the lawyer, Mr. Tadiosori, wrote to the president that the president should give her a copy of the petition before forwarding to the Chief Justice desk to fire Akufo. Eugene Ahi responded to Charlotte Osei and the lawyer that is not their responsibility at this stage to give her a copy of the petition. President Mahama has not acted that way. So if you recall, when Madame Charlotte Osei, after Chief Justice Akufo had made the prima facie determination and formed the Justice Anthony Benin, Mafosal, may he so rest in peace, and Justice Agnes Doji committee, what eventually happened with the 2 other civilians? It was when Charlotte Osei and the lawyer, Tadiosori, appeared before the Justice Benin committee. That was when the committee now put in place the procedure, the guidelines to shape the conduct of that adjudication process. We have not gotten there yet. So on what basis would the Ghana Bar Association now be requiring President John Dramani Mahama to revoke the suspension of her ladyship, the Chief Justice, as the Chief Justice? But you see, Umaru,
they say that a regulation ought to be published before the suspension, and to the extent that that regulation has not been published, the suspension itself is now.
Umaru, respect. I am telling you that by parity of reasoning, in the Rashford France decision, the contention that was urged on the Supreme Court, I think presided over by Justice Julius Ansan or so, was that, and incidentally, it was a matter litigated by my then company law lecturer, distinguished Jogati, where the Supreme Court, in fact, the position was that the Electoral Commission ought to have published a CI pursuant to Article 296C prior to the creation of the constituency. Listen carefully. By which time the EC had introduced the CI for the creation of the constituency. Then they say, no, there is a need for a new CI to precede the CI creating the constituency. The Supreme Court says no. And reference to his lordship Justice Adeba. But you see, what is even more profound is that if you recall, Taga IPR, Umaru, you remember, their work on the judges. After the premiering, his lordship Justice Paul Utaberi went to the Supreme Court to say that a provision that is clause 8 of Article 146 has been violated, and for that matter, the entire impeachment process stands unconstitutional. Listen to what the Supreme Court said to him. And I quote, "Next, we believe that the attempt made by the plaintiff herein to abort the process because of the violations of Clause 8 of Article 146 by the public disclosure of the petition and its contents brings it in direct conflict with the very constitutional provisions which say that the process cannot be truncated except in two situations mentioned already. The petition that commences the impeachment proceedings derives its validity from the Constitution, and thus, unless clear intention is expressed, that validity cannot be taken away only because there is a procedural infringement. So even assuming that the non-publication of the CI is anything to go by, the Supreme Court in the dairy matter says that the so-called procedural infringement cannot defeat the validity of the process commenced. The Supreme Court says the duty imposed of the Chief Justice, here the Council of State and the President, to make a prima facie determination is derived from the validity of the petition, and that duty, by terms of the Constitution, prevails onto the Chief Justice, because that one is the Chief Justice. Here the Council of State has performed it. There is nothing in the Constitution that prevents the Council of State, here the Chief Justice, from performing that constitutionally imposed duty once the President has referred the petition to them. Any attempt to stop that process will be subverting the Constitution. Unquote. So the point I am making, and maybe a second portion of the resolution, Omar, the bar is questioning Chief Justice, acting Chief Justice, Bafo body, and a directive given relative to assignment of cases and dates. In fact, if the bar had kept quiet, it would have been better. First of all, I was counsel for Mr. William Pevy in the NCA matter, you remember. By what means was the case assigned to Justice Chebafo, now Justice of the Court of Appeal? 2, I was counsel together with my senior Bassett, Dr. Bassett, for the Honorable Ateforson. Was the decision or the assignment of that case to Justice Ifia Asaribotri done by computer? In fact, Justice Onyeluga, a justice of the Court of Appeal there, who sat on the Opuni Sedu Agongo matter, did so via a warrant signed by the Chief Justice then. What exactly is the bar talking about?
Let's leave it here.
What exactly is the bar talking about?
So you're saying the acting CJ is allowed to do that and ought to continue to do that?
Look, I am saying that
they say in the era of technology, you don't need to do that.
The era of technology is what I'm just as late as 2024, when Asunaba Dapa Godfrey Debu Adami was the Attorney General. Please, they shouldn't let us expose them. Cases were being given to justice via a warrant, special warrant. What are we talking about?
Very well. Let's leave it here. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
No, but you see, we should avoid these double standards and hypocrisy in our public discourse. So far, have you seen that the bar has not been able to say, beyond this lay, what happened to the initial statement they issued? The initial statement the bar issued, signed by bar president, Mrs. Efuagati. What happened to that statement? Because Because at this mini bank conference, they were telling her that the statement lacked bite. And so therefore, she should show that, what is that?
Who are the ones who were telling her?
I'm just putting on record, and let her come and deny, because I have the audio recording.
So who told her?
I have the recording. In fact, at a point,
but Anasumna Badapa is a member of the bar. She has a right to air her view, and if that view, I'm saying that if that view has been adopted by the generality of the lawyers there, that becomes binding.
You know the number of people who were in the meeting when that decision was taken.
The spokesperson. Hold on. The spokesperson I just spoke to said that the council and the executive is up to some 40 members. However, the larger membership is the membership that made the resolution, and which resolution is binding on them.
Omaro, if you see you are a senior journalist, I want to urge on you today, with respect, do a right of information to the current acting CJ to supply you with how cases were assigned, and I'll give you openly.
No. I mean, I thought you were going to respond to. You said the people who were at the conference were not. You suggested the number was not huge, and I said to you that it should be more than 40. At least that's what the PR said. I thought you were going to give me further information on that.
No. In fact, at the point, hold on. After 3 hours, and with all the disagreements, right? People just felt that, look, there was an edge on the bar to take a political stand on this matter. But like I said, the likes of Dana, Snaba, Dapa, and Co. had already prepared an agenda outside.
Very well. Let's leave it here.
That the initial statement by the bar lacked the necessary bite.
Okay, let's leave it here. It's fine. It's fine. I think we can leave it here. Thank you. Thank you so much for speaking to us. That's Eduji Kujo Tamaklo. He is Director of NDC's Legal Affairs and also CEO of the National Petroleum Authority. Eno has a story for us before business news.
The government has launched the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, known as Mahama Cares, to provide financial support for people suffering from chronic diseases such as kidney failure, cancer, and heart conditions. The event took place at the University of Ghana Medical Center in Accra. President John Dramani Mahama, while launching the fund, pleaded with the private sector to commit their corporate social responsibility to the program.
To encourage corporate Ghana, businesses, the mines, the banks, and all the other companies, that this Ghana Medical Trust Fund program is coming to help are your clients who save their money in your banks. They are your clients who do business with you. And indeed, they are not only your clients, they are even your own staff. Some of your staff have died, from breast cancers and diabetes and all that. And so, as part of your CSR, if you give anything, you are giving it not just to help people, but to help your own clients and your customers and your own staff. But whenever Accountant General finishes, 6 months of whatever I'm entitled to will go into Mahama Cares.
President John Dramani Mahama there, Minister for Health, Kobina Mintah Kando, said the initiative is designed to ensure fairness in healthcare access, particularly for those facing financial barriers to treatment. In his opening remarks, the sector minister revealed that a draft bill detailing the management framework of the fund will be presented to Parliament.
This process has successfully completed a comprehensive policy document detailing the operational and management framework of the fund. Secondly, the draft bill for the establishment of the Mahama Care Fund is now ready and will be submitted to Parliament immediately after the recess. Most importantly, that's the primary obstacle. The capping of the National Health Insurance Fund has been removed. This significant development has unlocked substantial resources, ensuring that a dedicated allocation of funds will now support the full-scale operation of the Mahama Care Fund. These developments demonstrate our seriousness of purpose and commitment to the health and well-being of the Ghanaian people. As Minister for Health, I take this opportunity to call on all heads of agencies under my ministry, along with all collaborating institutions whose mandates are critical to the successful implementation of the Ghana Medical Trust Fund.
Minister for Health, Kwabena Mintah Akando. Now, the General Superintendent of the Assemblies of God, Ghana, Reverend Stephen Yensunom Wingam, has urged Ghanaians to take part in this year's Family Consecration Service organized by Citi FM with support from Channel 1 TV. Family Consecration Service is an annual spiritual exercise for families which happens on every 1st of May to begin the Family Month series. Speaking on the Breakfast Daily Show on Channel 1 TV, Reverend Wingam invited believers from all walks of life to participate massively in the special prayer service come Thursday, May 1.
And I really want to urge Ghanaians and everybody, come in your numbers. Come and pray for your family. Families are under attack. Look at the generation now. Look at the young people. The enemy, the devil is destroying their destinies. Nobody can tell what tomorrow holds. So come and let's secure the future. Come and sanctify your family. We have all sinned against God. One component which I normally the whole family to do,
repentance,
to confess our sins. You know, Joel 2:15-17 talks about that. We come to the altar.
Okay.
Because of Achan committed a sin, and his innocent wife and children, God roped them in. We call it corporate collateral.
You heard the General Superintendent of the Assemblies of God, Ghana, Reverend Stephen Yensunom Wingam.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Charlie, where are you?
Bossman, I'm at the bank.
Really? But your car is in front of your house.
Bro, my bank on my phone, Charlie.
Oh, how?
EcoBank, bro. With EcoBank mobile app, I can do everything, anywhere, anytime. Listen, I just checked my account balance, paid Ahmed's school fees, and sent money to my grandma at Walwale.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Masa, just download the EcoBank mobile app from the Google Play Store or the App Store, or dial *770# and be your own bank manager.
Manager.
Whether to pay bills or fees, to check account statements, send money across Ghana, abroad, and more, EcoBank mobile app has got it covered. EcoBank Mobile, making everyday people live everyday lives the EcoBank way. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
LPG. I am from a jar and hotse. Nanso se ehubeti amawa agisa wudi edi dwuma yi. Ansa na wo beso wujano. Hwia na hwe se from a jar ho nka biara enje ho. Se wote from a jar ho pampa na buebue apono ne mpoma no nyina eba ne saa a menso ana me enum biara edi enyina mahoden eye adwuma. Dundum eja biara waso wo ho. Na frɛ onimdifo mano mmehwe mawo. Fasamina nsuo gu from a jar tontruwa no ano. Se wo ehuro a natural se etue ampa ta ehwe se droban na etwe mframaja no hu ntue na ta isesa droban no acha preko mfie mienu biara echi hwe se abri biara wo be soja no wo bepa wo matches ansa na waso wo stove hwe se mframaja ne ho asode no adum abri biara wo mfandi dwuma biara nkratuo yi efri National Petroleum Authority aswe.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. I am Inu Saf. Let's settle for the details. Ghana's crude oil sector has continued its downward trajectory with the 2024 Public Interest and Accountability Committee annual report revealing a fifth consecutive year of declining production. According to the report, crude oil output fell to 48.25 million barrels in 2024, a stark drop from a peak of 71.44 million barrels recorded in 2019. Daniel Odromensa has more in this report.
This reflects a marginal year-on-year decline of 0.01%, but a concerning 5-year average decline of 7.4%. The persistent slump in production raises red flags for stakeholders and policymakers, signaling the urgent need for new investments, improved regulatory frameworks, and enhanced exploration efforts to reverse the trend and sustain national revenue. Adding to the fiscal challenges, the report also highlighted that proceeds totaling $145.68 million from GMPC Explorco's 2024 liftings were not paid into the Petroleum Holding Fund. This omission brings cumulative unpaid revenues to over $488.79 million, sparking concerns over transparency and compliance with statutory financial obligations. Furthermore, surface rental arrears owed by international oil companies remain high at $2.89 million, with about 60% of the backlog attributed to 3 companies whose petroleum agreements were terminated in 2021. The findings were presented at the official launch of the 2024 PIAC report, reinforcing the committee's mandate to ensure that Ghana's petroleum revenues are managed in a transparent and accountable manner.
Daniel Oduro-Mensah with that report. Now, Minister for Energy and Green Transition John Jinapor has stated that the 14.75% increase in electricity tariffs set to take effect on May 3, 2025 is crucial for maintaining a reliable power supply and driving ongoing reforms within the sector. The tariff adjustment announced by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission is intended to help stabilize the energy sector and tackle persistent operational and financial challenges. Addressing the Committee of Ministers meeting of the West African Gas Pipeline project in Accra, John Jinapor called on consumers to endure the forthcoming 14.75% increase in electricity tariffs.
There's been a lot of debate about tariffs in Ghana. Our energy sector today has a debt of about 80 billion, and something must be done to deal with that. And I want to appeal to Ghanaians and the general consuming public to bear with us, even as we take some of these difficult but unavoidable decisions in order to ensure that we have stable, reliable, uninterruptible, and sustainable energy sources for our own economic development. I would like to assure you that under the direction of His Excellency the President, steps are being taken to improve power delivery and minimize the sector shortfalls. I do know that we have some few issues in respect of payments to all the stakeholders along the pipeline. Last month and this month, we've been working to increase payments. I want to assure you that as we go through the cycle, we'll continue to improve the sector and increase payments in order to ensure that we have reliable supply of gas.
John Jinapor also assured government is working tirelessly to resolve the intermittent power outages currently affecting parts of the country.
As we speak, we have enough generation just to meet demand. We do not have any excess capacity. And so when one plant goes down, it creates some immediate disruption, which means that we need to work around the clock to bring the plant back. But when we bring the plant back, we are able to meet demand. And so you cannot publish a load shedding timetable when you are sure that you can be bringing the plants back. But the truth is that what we inherited, we have no reserves. So we are generating just to meet demand. And so it makes the system very, very tight. And we have to be honest with the people of Ghana. The generation and the demand are just at par. And so when one plant goes down, immediately you have a shortfall, but we try to bring the plant back in order to sustain power delivery. And so for some days, you have consistent supply. There may be one day within a week or two when a plant goes down, you have a bit of disruption. But because it's just one day, how do you publish a timetable? And so that is why we are working around the clock. But we are confident that getting into the next few weeks and months, the remaining plants that were down, as we work to bring them back, we'll have more redundancy. And we'll have more redundancy. It means that when one plant goes down, you can switch to another plant.
Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Jinapor. And that's all for City Business News and Eyewitness News. I am Inu Safo. Up next is Point Blank.
Well, quite rightly. Hey, so as for you, every day you are just pressing your phone. Why? Are they paying you?
They are, Oma.
Eh?
The more I use my MTN, the more points I get. And I can use those points to get airtime, data, and even discounts at shops and restaurants.
Hey, so that is why all of you are always pressing your phones. And you won't tell us, so that we too we can enjoy some.
Oh, ma.
There's always more to enjoy with MTN Rewards. Just keep talking, testing, and browsing all day, every day to collect your points and use it to redeem amazing offers and discounted freebies right away. There's so much available for you. So dial *4 #550# and get your reward today. Let's go everywhere you go.
Kweku, have you heard what they are doing on MTN?
Oh, jump on now. Go. Google me. At what time when you come back, we are not hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car? No, I not change my car. It be the same, right? It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so. This is the type of fuel where they want to. Cause now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir. Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind, Seth, be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium, they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open them. Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel? Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you. Hey, they make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside? I give you info. Make a fill the gobe too small. Go. Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
This is Point Blank on Eyewitness News. I am Omar Sandama. Tonight on Point Blank, we're going to hear from Kisi Jabin. He's a special prosecutor. He went to meet the H. Kwesi Prempeh-led Constitution Review Committee, and he's been sharing some ideas on how to strengthen the fight against corruption by actually putting the Office of Special Prosecutor in the Constitution. Let's listen to him.
Thank you for the invitation, Chair and committee members. Chair, you would recall that on 28th February, I was with you here in the same room when I delivered a public lecture on suppressing and repressing corruption and state capture. And I specifically asked the conveners to choose you as my review lecturer. And so you know very well the position of although it was the special prosecutor delivering, a large chunk of it was the position of the OSP on what we think should be done in respect of the fight against corruption. We would submit a very short paper to the committee. I wish to state here that we need to reimagine totally the anti-corruption fight. What we have now is a set of theoretical principles scattered around, and much of it captured in the OSP Act. But this theory is lagging heavily behind the practice, what we have encountered in the fight against corruption. And so we implore the committee that we are in the sea, swimming in there with all the monsters in there. And so please don't take our words lightly in terms of what we tell you we are encountering and what should be done. We propose a whole chapter on anti-corruption. Chair, committee members, you will recall that 30 odd years ago, our fight was human rights. And the human rights movement was such that it required a Bill of Rights in the Constitution. It would appear that whilst we were focusing on human rights, as we should, we left out a fight against corruption and it is now swallowing us. And so we need to frontally engage the anti-corruption fight. In our estimation, we need a focal institution, an independent focal institution to lead the anti-corruption fight. And with all the evaluations, examinations, trials, and experimentations, we believe that the Office of the Special Prosecutor is Ghana's best bet in leading the anti-corruption fight. The idea is that we should create this institution much more carefully as an institution which will stand the test of time. As I said, we have worked it from 2018. I came in August of 2021, established it. It's now rolling out, it's now working. And what we are encountering is informing these ideas. So having an extensive reimagination of the anti-corruption fight would require that there should be specific prosecutorial independence in this institution. You see, the Article 88 malady, I call it a malady because we lumped everything into the Attorney General. Now there's talk of should we separate the Attorney General from Ministry of Justice and all that. And then there was this attempt in the OSP Act to carve out the prosecutorial power of the Attorney General in respect of anti-corruption and give it to the OSP. But every now and then there's always questions of whether it is constitutional or otherwise. So writing the OSP into the Constitution, giving it that full prosecutorial independence, that notwithstanding the formulation in Article 88, the OSP has its own prosecutorial power in respect of anti-corruption, and that kills the argument and gives it the free rein to be able to carry out its mandate and function. And this is not new. This idea is not new. If you recall, Chair and committee members, the NACAB 1, which just ended as the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, had this philosophy that perhaps it was unwise to require an Attorney General or a minister, especially a cabinet minister, to go after his own colleagues. I mean, it's not humanly palatable that you are sitting in cabinet with a colleague, and then after the meeting you turn around and charge the same person you've been meeting with in cabinet with a crime or other. And so the idea then in 2014 was that let's have an independent institution which would be cut out and insulated from the politics of things, so that it will not have that burden of as if going after its own colleagues or cronies, and to have that free and independent to be able to function properly. And once again, the NACAB philosophy is not new. Itself was taken from the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, which specifically requires state parties to have an independent anti-corruption institution with all the indices of independence to be able to address fully the issue of corruption. Chair and committee members, We also need to redefine the scope of corruption and corruption-related offenses. It is in such a flux. Chair, you will recall I said in the public lecture that even as special prosecutor, I do not understand what we mean by corruption in this country and corruption-related offenses, because we formulated it in a very haphazard and lazy way. That's it's at large, and so it's not precise and clear. Then, to really fight corruption, now this may come by way of legislation and not the Constitution, because of the detail it will require in respect of the point I'm about to make, that we should really look at the concept of non-conviction based recoveries. Because the system as we have it now is that to recover anything from an individual or an institution engaged in corruption and corruption-related offenses, the person must have been convicted by a criminal court before you can then go after the property which is tainted by corruption. But the trend now, globally, as chair and committee members you are aware, is that institute a reverse onus clause in respect of lifestyle auditing. So we are gauging your lawfully disclosed sources of income as pegged against the wealth you are exuding and matched against the other. If your lawfully disclosed sources of income added together will not be able to explain your lifestyle, then whatever surplus we see, a reverse onus is placed on the individual to explain to the anti-corruption agency as to how you came about that extent of wealth. And if you are unable to provide satisfactorily reasonable answer or explanation, then it presupposes that surplus was born of corruption. In this case, you wouldn't then require a criminal conviction, and people will readily give it up than go through an entire criminal process if it is clear that their lifestyle is inexplicable.
The special prosecutor Kisi Jabinde explaining why beyond the act we need some constitutional pronouncements on the office of special prosecutor in order that we can fight corruption very well as a country. He was speaking during a meeting with the Professor H. Kwesi Prempeh led Constitution Review Committee. That would be it for Eyewitness News tonight. I am Omar Rusanda Amadu. I did it with Eno Safo. Production by Sami Wiafi, Beverly London, Kwabena Wilson, Richard Anyama, Ayama, and Juliana Odami Asari. Technical support from Thomas Obindako, and new media support from Emmanuel Usu and his team. Now, if you want more on the NPP issues, the thank you tour, and the challenges that are arising, or the crisis that appears to be deepening, on Face to Face tonight at 9 p.m. on Channel 1 television, I'll be hosting former General Secretary Kwabena Jepong. You'll want to listen to his views and perspectives on this matter. Thank you for listening. Have a good night.